Today we're talking about planting up an ornamental container for summer flowers. We're working with annuals primarily. However, this grass is a perennial that can be put out into the garden after it gets too big for this pot. When we plant up our containers, the first thing we're thinking about is the pot itself. We want a nice frost-proof container with this nice double glazing on it. These are high-fired pots, so they're not gonna break apart as the temperatures expand and contract in the winter. When I plant things in containers, I think of hot colors and cool colors, and I like to look at the color of my pot and build everything off of that. So it needs to go with the pot. And it makes it easier for me when I do it in terms of cool and warm. Here we have blues and purples and lavenders and fuchsia. And here we've got yellows and oranges and reds. And I like to use a little bit of white too. Oh, I love this combination, the black petunia with this lime green helichrysum and with a little bit of white lobelia, and it just really, the white brings out all the color in the pot. The next thing we think about is the soil. We want to be sure and use a good quality potting soil. You can waste your time and money by buying junky potting soils, and they're out there. The best way you can tell about a good potting soil is they list the ingredients on the bag. So you think you don't have a green thumb, and you know, you walk by this pot and it's just sad and it makes you feel bad. So don't waste your money on the bad potting soil. Spend an extra $1 or maybe $2 and get the good quality potting soil. We also put in an all-purpose organic fertilizer mixed in with the soil that gives just a good base of support throughout the whole season for the roots. And this has got a little bit extra phosphorus. That middle number there is the phosphorus, and that is what the plant uses for root development and also fruit, flower, and seed production. So we want to be sure we have plenty of phosphorus in a pot where we want lots of flowers. So the next thing we're going to do is choose our plants based on the exposure, and this is for full sun. I chose this tall grass for some vertical height. This is a Calamagrostis. It's one called Avalanche. I like the variegation in there because I think this white kind of picks up with the blue color. I put a nice stock plant in here. This is very fragrant, so I'm gonna have this by my chair on my deck, and I'm gonna enjoy the beautiful fragrance that comes off of this. I also have in here heliotrope, and this is gonna grow really nice and big. All of these plants are gonna grow a lot, so this pot's gonna be huge and really big and gorgeous. So the heliotrope is really a nice fragrance too. I like it. The flowers are beautiful. It's these big purple umbels, and the foliage has a really nice texture. It's a really dark green, which brings some contrast. So I've got little tiny foliage here, and this will be a bolder foliage. I've got a light green foliage here. This will be dark green. So we're getting that contrast of texture and color, which is what makes beauty in the world, is the contrast. The differences in things is what really makes each one stand out the best. I also have some scaevola in here, this little purple thing that it will sort of grow out and swag down a little bit and just be this beautiful purple skirt of flowers. This verbena, I love the two-tone pink, kind of a dark rosy pink and a light pale pink there. And this will also do the same thing, get really large and have lots of flowers. I also have in here a type of lobularia or alyssum. The alyssums are probably the #1 plant that attracts beneficial pollinating insects to our garden. So it's really nice to just let it seed. Just let it kind of come up wherever it will, because the little honeybees and all the little other beneficial pollinators just love the fragrance, and it attracts them to your garden. Without the beneficial pollinator insects in our garden, we don't have much of a garden at all. After everything is all planted in, I also like to put Osmocote, which are these little pellets. It's a time release fertilizer on the outside. It's temperature regulated, so Osmocote is not effective until we get up to 68 degrees, like that. So we want to be careful. We don't want to mix it in with the soil. We don't want it around the roots. If it gets warm all of a sudden, it releases fast and you can burn the roots really easily. So I just like to top dress it. After I'm all done, the last thing I do is go through, and in a pot this size, I'm probably putting just like a couple tablespoons of that and just distributing it throughout on the top of the soil, and then water the whole thing in to settle all the soil around the roots and tuck it in. And you know, the soil will settle a lot, so we want to put plenty of soil in here. We want to compress it a little bit as we're planting, because we don't want the soil to sink down in the pot and have all this sort of stagnant air. So if the soil is way below the top of the pot, we're getting kind of, we can have some rot problems and everything. So we want the soil surface to be right at the top of the pot, good airflow. That's how the plants will thrive the best without getting botrytis, which is a gray mold, and things start to kind of get funky in there. So that's our pot. We're gonna get this out in the sun, and we're gonna water it enough but not too much, and it's gonna make us happy every time we walk by, and it's the little things in life that make us happy.